Coming back to the custom card series, I'm going to introduce you guys Garmore for the set. Now, since Garmore hasn't received any direct solid support, I figured why not go ahead and make him something new. With new cards coming out for all the formats of Vanguard, I'm coming back to you with some amazing updates to my custom card series. Great Silver Wolf Garmore is one of the very first Gold Paladin Vanguards to ever be introduced in the series. With him being the first Vanguard, we were expecting a lot more support, as this card had a lot of amazing support during the G era, with the introduction of extra high beast cards, strides dedicated to him, and having also been in the Royal Paladin clan, I was expecting Garmore to get more support throughout the series to help his playstyle. And while we did get these indirect one-card hand supports, having a one-card strategy just isn't that consistent. So I decided to create support that can bring some life back into this deck, while also making the very first strategy of the original Garmore a lot better. Now, normally in these custom card videos, I usually do a backstory on the deck and why it's not good and some of the great things about it. However, with Garmore doesn't really have that many redeeming qualities and there's more negative, so I couldn't find anything that I personally want to tell you guys today that I thought would help the deck out. So for this video, we'll just be heading straight to the custom card support, and I'm excited to showcase you guys what I have invented for Garmore. Now let's go check it out. Making her V Premium debut, I'm going to go ahead and drop Silver Fang Witch, and she has the following effect. Auto Vanguard or Rearguard Circle when this unit attacks or the attack it boosted hits a Vanguard. You may look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Garmore in its card name from among them. Reveal it and put it into your hand and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. When this unit is placed on the Rearguard Circle by your card's ability, cost Soul Blast 1, draw a card. Now, Silver Fang Witch is an amazing addition to the Garmore deck already. This card being able to help you fetch out other pieces of Garmore cards that we're going to get more later into, and then being able to draw an additional card when superior called, means that we have another hand advantage extender into the Gold Paladin series. We already have Dindrain and Josephus, but this card specifically works for Garmore, so it's nice for him to have something unique on his own. This way, if you were to add other additional Gold Paladin cards, such as the one I just stated, you can use those cards for other purposes in the deck to essentially fill out the slots that you need them to for this Garmore deck that has now been upgraded. This card is a huge consistency buff, and when you see the later cards they have for Garmore, her first effect is going to make a lot more sense. Moving on to our grade 2 support card, we have Adrigal Liberator, who has the following effect. Auto, when placed on Vanguard Circle or Rearguard Circle, cost discard 1 card from your hand. Look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, call up to 1 card from among them, and put the rest of them on the bottom of your deck in any order. Continuous Rearguard Circle. If your Vanguard has Garmore in its card name, when your card effect would count the number of cards in your hand, it is regarded as 0. Adrigal Liberator was one of my favorite cards designed for Garmore. This card single-handedly fixes all of the issues with our very first Garmore and its entire 1-card hand strategy. Now, Garmore has the following effect, which is continuous on the Vanguard Circle. If you only have 1 card in your hand, your opponent cannot retire your rear guards. They have to attack the Vanguard as well. That means that this strategy does force an all-out strike on your Vanguard, meaning you will have to defend more. But the beauty of that is that your Vanguard's continuous effect is always active. So Adrigal Liberator will be protected from attacks and rearguard effects that retire it. Now, while this card can still be bound or locked, that's at least one form of solid protection for all of your Gold Paladin rearguards. This card also makes it available to you that now the entire card pool of Gold Paladin, that is the 1 card or less strategy, are all available to you, increasing the number of cards you can use in your Garmore deck build. Adrigal Liberator is also great at any period in the game, as this card is simply just a ditch from hand to get another top 3 call, which is very normal for Gold Paladin, so the first effect is very standard, and because it's a discard, it does go into the Garmore strategy if you want to perform another skill. But this overall is just the key piece needed to make the Garmore deck really come back to life. But we need something else. There's something else that's missing that Garmore really needs. While we have resource management and now we have full access to our Vanguard skill, Garmore has always lacked a finisher and has relied on the multiple attacking or a super aggro strategy to win. So if we're going to stick to that route of playing super aggressive and having a finisher to basically fix the last flaw of the deck, or one of the flaws of the deck, we need just 1 more card to fill up that slot. And this is the final support card that I have designed for Garmore. Introducing and making his V Premium debut, we have Flash Fang Liberator Garmore XL with the following effect. Auto Vanguard Circle, when placed, cost Counterblast 1. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and call up 2 cards from among them and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Then all of your front row rear guards get power plus 5,000 until the end of turn. Auto Hand. At the end of the battle that your Garmore Vanguard attacked, if you have 3 or less cards in your hand, cost. Counterblast 1 and discard 2 cards from your hand. Ride this card as stand. At the end of this turn, ride a Great Silver with Garmore from your soul as rest. Now, Flashfang Liberator Garmore XL is the last and final perfect piece for Garmore support. This card does everything that you want the deck to do, and I must credit that a lot of this support has been coming from Overdress and the Youthberg series. Flashfang Liberator Garmore XL, giving you the additional rush that this card brings in the later game, is extremely helpful to this deck. You're generating an extra Excel mark, you're getting 2 more attacks with additional power, and because he retreats back to the old Garmore, your Adrigal Liberator becomes helpful offensively and defensively speaking, making that card just a lot more valuable to our strategy overall. And the beauty of Adrigal Liberator and this card together is the fact that because they do exist, even if you don't have the minimal hand size to use the effect of this skill, if you have a huge hand size or a low one, that card does not punish you, meaning you'll always have access to this card as long as you're on a Garmore Vanguard. The deck is still super aggro and is no longer as piece reliant, but now you have aggro throughout every single period of the game when you play this deck. You are using a lot of cards from your hand and you're still doing deck thinning with Superior Calling because you need to drop cards on the board, but we had to keep this card balanced somehow, otherwise this would just be a insanely free Vanguard. Flashfang Liberator Garmore XL is definitely an upgrade to Garmore. This card provides extra rush, it's a finisher, and its inspiration comes from a lot of the Keter Sanctuary cards out now for Overdress. It's really amazing how we can take this cards from the future and apply them to other cards you want in the future to create amazing designs going into our V Premium support. I definitely think that if Flashfang Liberator Garmore XL were to be introduced into Vanguard, this is a skill I would gratefully like to see it have, on top of Silver Fang Witch and Adrigal Liberator bringing some life back into the Garmore deck. Garmore and Gold Paladin are just one of the very few clans I've given custom support to. I've also made a video for Royal Paladin, Gancelot, and Shadow Paladin Fiona on custom card support. I'm going to continue doing this series again, and it'll be a new episode every single day for the rest of this month, going forward before we reach into April and BCS season. Without further ado guys, I will be taking off and I'll see you soon. Check the next episode out later this week. Peace.